Hey gents, today we're talking about a new form or a novel form of oral testosterone replacement therapy that I had never heard of before. So, just to explain how I heard about it, I was talking to Dr. Cam, who's the owner of a Maximus Tribe testosterone replacement therapy clinic, and he was saying he uses enclomiphene, which is a serum, alongside oral testosterone to maintain LH and FSH production, which maintains spermatogenesis, the testicular volume, ejaculate load. And he said he uses enclomiphene alongside it to maintain the LH and FSH. And so I kind of scoffed at that because I thought he was talking about the undecanoate version of oral testosterone, which has a half-life of about 34 days and is extremely suppressive and would not be, using adjunct therapy of enclomiphene would not maintain LH and FSH. However, I was mistaken. He was talking about native testosterone, which is a term I had never heard before. He provided one study, and I'm sure he's had some anecdotal experiences or clinical experiences using this form of testosterone replacement therapy. But looking at the study here, the one thing that kind of stands out to me is there's no N equals anything. So you don't know how many, it says they use dogs and humans, and they're determining whether or not you need to take it with a high-fat meal or not. There's no N equals anything. So you don't know how many participants are in the sample, which is kind of important when you're taking like an average, for example. So that kind of stood out to me. But when taking 200 milligrams of native testosterone, which is an oral form of testosterone, like I said, the Cmax, which is the maximum serum concentration of testosterone, reached 769 nanograms per deciliter. If you take a look at this chart here, you'll see this is fasted versus non-fasted native testosterone, 200 milligrams. And you'll see that it peaks in the morning, right? If you took it right in the morning, it will peak in the morning to about 760 nanograms per deciliter. And then 10 hours later, it'll trough around 200 nanograms per deciliter. So it mimics the diurnal rhythm pretty good. The downside is you're still going to have suppression on it because you're replacing your natural testosterone. So that's why he advertises using enclomiphene alongside this form of oral testosterone replacement therapy, because it's not at a constant level where it's going to be extremely suppressive. You're going to have this diurnal rhythm mimicry where you could possibly use enclomiphene to maintain testicular volume, ejaculate load, LH and FSH, right? The signaling hormones to your testicles. So let's take a look at the main study for enclomiphene. After 6 weeks of continuous use, the mean concentration of total testosterone at day 42 was 604 nanograms per deciliter for men taking the highest dose of enclomiphene citrate. So enclomiphene, I think, is a favorable SERM. It is the favorable isomer in clomid because it antagonizes the estrogen receptor in the hypothalamus and pituitary and stimulates testosterone production. The other isomer in clomid is zuclomiphene, which does the complete opposite. It agonizes the estrogen receptor, which is not what we want. So I made a video on how I think enclomiphene has a promising future. Well, hopefully the FDA approves it for the 305A bulks list to be compounded by compounding pharmacies. But right now it is still available, especially for tier T clinics who are shipping medication to your door. But anyway, after 6 weeks of continuous use, at day 42 is 604 nanograms per deciliter for men taking the highest dose of clomiphene citrate at 25 milligrams daily, as compared to 500 for those taking transdermal testosterone. So it's a pretty good form of testosterone replacement. They also tell you how many subjects they used in the study, which is 48 men. They were enrolled in the trial, as compared to the other study, which did not have any information on how many men they used in the study. So this study is very scanty. It was published in the European Journal of Endocrinology. So the idea is you mimic the diurnal rhythm of a natural individual, where you have a peak in the morning and a trough at nighttime. And then you use enclomiphene alongside of it to maintain LH and FSH, and you also have an additional boost in testosterone replacement, because with enclomiphene on its own, on average, it was around 650 nanograms per deciliter when using the highest dose of enclomiphene. Usually a max dose is 25 milligrams per day. So a lot of people who are taking enclomiphene for testosterone replacement may want to have a higher level of testosterone, which may be achieved by using enclomiphene as a secondary or adjunct agent to native testosterone. The problem with this, one thing I can think of is people who get on testosterone replacement therapy often want their levels to be kind of stably high. There's not a whole lot of benefit outside of possibly controlling insomnia due to testosterone replacement for having that diurnal rhythm. And I also see a lot of people on Reddit who say they're trying to mimic the diurnal rhythm of natural by injecting every day with long esters. They don't understand that injecting every day with long esters is just going to keep your levels completely stable. So that doesn't work at all for mimicking diurnal rhythm. And I've seen that like dozens of times, and it's hilarious. But anyway, so you have the diurnal rhythm, which is good for sleep probably, but you don't have that chronically stable level or peak level of testosterone that you get from testosterone injections. It's also probably not as easily adjusted as injections because you have to adjust both enclomiphene and the native testosterone. However, there's a lot of benefits to this, right? Because you get LH and FSH production, and you also only have to take oral medications, so you don't have to inject. So let's take a look at their website. Their yearly plan is $199 per month, $200 per month. That's insane. The monthly plan is $300 per month. So if you buy in for the year-long plan, you're going to be stuck at $200 per month for a fucking year. And the monthly plan is $300 per month. It's insane. And at-home lab tests, which I don't recommend. I recommend you go get your labs at an actual legitimate lab for best accuracy, is $149.99. They also don't really give you an idea if you need to pay for a consultation. But in total, if you're going to do the monthly plan plus the first month of at-home testing for testosterone, you're going to be paying roughly $450, which is a pretty steep opening price. They also have verified buyers here, but the thing that I find very strange about this is the profile pictures that they have. They're like high quality profile pictures, which is just weird because you rarely ever see that. I don't know if that's why they selected it, but to have high quality profile pictures like this, like you're creating a LinkedIn profile, is kind of strange. But you can see some examples here. That's also weird that they just include this information. I don't know if they're asked to include it. Anyway, before and after, so you get your total T before and after: 521 to 985, 401 to 847, 457 to 1101, 633 to 1214. So this goes to show that using, if those numbers are accurate, this goes to show that using native testosterone along with enclomiphene can produce greater total testosterone values than native testosterone alone. So I see the benefits here. I've never heard of this. I don't know if any other TRT clinic is shipping this, but it's very interesting. He also uses pregnenolone, which is kind of strange to me. He argues that it maintains your natural production, but LH and FSH are going to stimulate your testicles and maintain that steroidal pathway. So the use of pregnenolone to me is just kind of a money grab. But I do see the benefits, right? Because you take two pills, right? The enclomiphene and the native testosterone. Once in the morning, you have the diurnal rhythm, which may allow for better sleep quality. It also has less conversion to DHT than normal testosterone replacement therapy, which might be good on the hairline and prostate. However, DHT can affect mood and other things like that. So having a high DHT level is usually a positive thing outside of BPH and hair loss. That's why some people who use finasteride, which is a 5-alpha reductase inhibitor, so it reduces the dihydrotestosterone levels, DHT, they don't feel well on it. They'll have low libido, depression, things like that. And some people use transdermal cream on their scrotum because it leads to higher levels of DHT, which makes them feel good. So the lower level of DHT compared to total testosterone isn't exactly optimal unless you have BPH or are very concerned about your hairline. But again, overall, I see the benefits, but I also see the downside. So the benefits are you get the diurnal rhythm. You only have to take 2 pills a day, no injections, right? And you can get your total testosterone up to like 1,000. Which you wouldn't be able to achieve with enclomiphene alone, usually, although I have seen it. The huge downside is the price. You're going to be paying $450 up front if you're using the monthly plan, which is not advantageous at all, and they don't tell you if you have to pay money for a consultation. Anyway, if you want to try it, it's Maximus Tribe. The study that they used is very poor. I don't see a sample size. I don't see how many dogs they used. Which is weird. Why would they use dogs alongside men? Just use men. You don't see a sample size. It's just not very high quality. It doesn't go into deep detail. It has the pharmacokinetics, which is nice, but it doesn't go into great detail about it. It doesn't discuss it a lot. This formulation has the potential advantage of being oral for patients who do not tolerate injections and less risk of adverse events that might theoretically be associated with dihydrotestosterone levels. I'm assuming they're referring to BPH and hairline loss, but they don't specify. They should specify what they're talking about when they're talking about adverse events that are associated with DHT. DHT, they need to go into more detail. Future studies will need to define the dosing regimen and replacement in hypogonadal men. This is where clinical anecdotal data comes in. So they're taking a risk here because this is the only study, and it's already admitting that future studies will need to define the dosing regimen for replacement in hypogonadal men. So they're taking a risk here because they're basing this medication off of one study, and they're going to need a lot of clinical anecdotal data to back up their claims. And having just 3 or 4 5-star reviews is not really something you want to see. You want to see all the reviews, right? Because we don't know if this medication works based off of a single kind of shitty study. And the price to get in on it is super expensive. So you're making a risky judgment call here if you're going to apply for Maximus Tribe, because you're basing it off of a single study that is not well thought out, and your entry price is $450 if you're using the monthly plan. I'm not going to repeat myself. Those are the benefits and drawbacks of native testosterone. I just thought it was an interesting testosterone replacement method. I had never heard of it before. It could be promising, but there's only one study. There definitely needs to be more studies on the dosage and more pharmacokinetic data and how many men they used, etc., before I would feel comfortable using this form of testosterone replacement. Okay, hope that was informative to you guys. It was really interesting to me. I'd never heard of this before, and hopefully, maybe more studies going forward on native testosterone, because it seems beneficial to just take two pills a day, one to boost your testosterone and one to maintain LH and FSH. Okay, guys, that's it for today. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.